Okay, so we are just about at 1:15. We're currently on the Ftse 100. Basically today the Ftse has rallied straight from the open very, very strongly. If I just move this, you can see that we're up almost 2% and the Ftse is actually up towards its all-time highs. For me, this trading day, because it's just rallied so strongly, there's been very little pullback, very little pause. There has been no clear signals at all. When this happens, it's just very important just to sit out of the market, don't jump into the market, and wait for your setups. If your setups don't come, that is also absolutely fine. You just don't take the trade. You have to wait for these good setups. That's part of what being a trader is. The majority of your time is just spent waiting for the correct entry that's going to give you the highest probability chance of having a successful trade. So I've just put the line in. Just want to watch these levels. We've basically made a flat top here. So in a sell position, I want to watch how the market reacts when it gets down there. Now, whilst it can be very frustrating when the market does something like this and it's not producing your trading opportunities, well, now we also have the second market added to what we do. So basically, a lot of the subscribers requested a second market, and a market that people could trade when they weren't at work. Also, so a market that's open later than 4:30, and the Australian dollar US dollar has now been added. So if you're not getting the trading opportunities on one market, you just do the exact same thing. We do the analysis in the morning, we set it all up, we pinpoint the highest probability zones, set our alarms. It's very simple. You just set your alarms up at these zones and then you watch for your reactions. What can we see? We've had already 8:05 a.m. We start to get pin bars. You get another one right here. You get another one right here. And the market comes up. Where does it come up to? It comes up to our next zone. For me, there wasn't any clear entries here. But once we started getting over here, I was happy to get into a sell position. It was after this one right here, actually, at 1 o'clock. We've rejected once, we've rejected twice, we've rejected 3 times, we've rejected 4 times. Each time we've been producing sell positions. I just want to watch this area right here for the reactions to see how this market behaves when it gets to this level, which is now going to be support, and I'll manage the trade from there. What I'm going to do is pause the video. I'm going to bring up both screens at once just because I am in 2 trades. Okay, so we have both trades open on the screen. I actually wasn't intending on doing this. I was only intending on showing the Australian dollar US dollar trade. This market had been rallying, the Ftse had been rallying all day with very little pullback. So for the live trade, I was going to show you the Australian dollar US dollar. However, whilst I was setting up the video, a trade set up on the Ftse also. So we're just watching them both now and watching for these reactions. The Ftse has been rallying very, very strongly. So we are counter trend. Because it is counter trend and because of the rally which has taken us toward all-time highs. When we're up toward all-time highs, it's very likely that the market will make an attempt to make a new high. So for that reason, this trade is being managed relatively tightly. Anything from 10 to 15 points, I will be happy and exit this trade for that profit. On this trade right here, on the Australian dollar, I'm watching for reactions at this level, looking for the market to come through, where I would exit down at the zone just below. Is there anything else to go over? Well, first thing to go over is, as I mentioned, the intention here was only to show you one of these trades, the Australian dollar, US dollar. I didn't expect the Ftse to set up in a trade also, especially if you're a beginner. I certainly don't advise taking 2 trades at once, unless if you're gonna do it, I'd take a live trade and then paper trade the second trade, just until you get used to looking at 2 different screens, making a judgment on this trade and then completely changing that judgment and looking at what this trade over here is telling you. Okay, so the trade is just running. I'm just watching the trade. There's not a lot more to go over. I'll likely cut the video or pause the video and then come back when there's anything worth talking about. Okay, so the markets, both of these are coming down quite nicely. And this one on the Ftse, because it has been such a very strong rally, I'm going to close this out at 11.5, 12 points. It's coming into the area of congestion, which was already identified. And because we're so close to the all-time highs, I am happy to take that as a profit. This market right here, we're just coming down into S1. Australian dollar, US dollar is a completely different market from the Ftse. I look for slightly smaller moves, which is represented in the way I trade and stop placement. We're just coming down into these levels. I'm just watching and getting ready to exit this one. Okay, so just exiting the Australian dollar, US dollar now. Around about 9 points on that one. Came down into the zone, into the target. I'm happy to take that profit also. Let me just load up the full screen on the Ftse again, and then I'll come back to the video. Okay, so the Ftse 100 trade was from the reaction up at the key zone, and wanted to wait to make sure the market wasn't just chopping around before shooting back up into the all-time highs or toward the all-time highs. I wasn't expecting this trade to set up. It was the Australian dollar US dollar trade I wanted to show you. However, that's the way it lined up, so we ended up taking a double trade. Both closed out very, very nicely. Only thing I can say is if you are a beginner, as I've mentioned, I definitely wouldn't advise attempting to take 2 trades at once. It just set up as I was making the video, so I took that entry. Okay guys, as always, I'm James Orr. I hope you found that helpful, and thank you. Okay, so just adding to the video quickly, as you can see, the exit points where we were looking for these reactions, one right here. You can see the Ftse has pushed back up higher, and it came all the way back up to where my entry would be, and that's exactly where I would have closed out the position if it had started to move against me once it reached this area. The reason I exited when it got down here is because I expected this move back up. I expected the move back up because of the price action of the day. We were counter trends, and we've just rejected off of the sort of 7122 levels, which is very near to the all-time highs. And my expectation is now, in the short-term future, the Ftse is going to make another attempt at this level. I'll bring up the Australian dollar, US dollar, and we can look at that one also. Okay, so exited down here. You can see the Australian dollar has spiked back up once again. So, you know, we really exited at a good place for this trade also. Took the 2 profits and locked in the 2 profits pretty much at the lowest point the market's got to on the moves. So a couple of good trades. At times, it can be very, very beneficial to get out of a trade where you are expecting these reactions.